Hello and welcome into the SorareNBA show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare, joined today by the master king of SorareNBA content. What's the royalty or what's the governmental name we're using?
Yeah, Master King. Is this a PG show?
At least in the first 5 minutes for monetization, but
okay. The second we started saying master, I was like, what else can I throw behind that? But I didn't do Master King. Master King's fine.
We'll take that. Mike Zakarian from Team Hold, Elite Fantasy Hoops, 17 other channels I'm sure that I've subscribed to. But today we're talking, yes, look at that. Is that the NBA bit host?
Yeah, there he is.
It is.
What's up, Hershey? And Mike Bass in the chat. Let's go. Legends. The legends.
Always legends here. Yeah, we're here to talk about the third season of SorareNBA. Mike, on the football side of Sorare never refer to seasons, mostly because it just always happens.
Never go.
But it's really funny because Shot Tank, you guys were always like, "Oh yeah, S2 of Sorare," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, only because I feel like SorareNBA specifically hypes it up around year two. When year two was happening, they were like, "What's the second year? The second year of SorareNBA." So that we took their lead. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm at the point now where like I am both I'm excited, also with realistic expectations. Like I think I feel pretty good with, I feel like I've done a good job of saying here are the things that frustrate me. I feel like they did a lot in between this year two and year three to like address some of the stuff that people have been yelling about. I'm sure we're still going to find some other stuff to yell about, but I'm both like excited and also not expecting to make millions of dollars. And I think that's a healthy place to be.
Yeah, it seems like that there's been like a community move on the football side of the same way. Just like, maybe we're not going to be filthy rich from this, but maybe we can have a little fun.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot healthier.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah. We're healthier. It's a healthier year three. I don't know if you've talked about it on other shows. I know I've like talked about it ad nauseum probably at this point. And I'm sorry, I'm like immediately going into host mode and asking questions. So if that is annoying, somebody
all good. No, not at all.
What has because I know like you have been playing SorareNBA, but probably not like locked into SorareNBA. For someone that wasn't like, living and breathing it last season, how did the announcements for year three move the needle, if at all? I mean, clearly it moved the needle enough to do a show.
Yeah, we're back. No, I had a lot of fun in year one, but I also realized it was like an unsustainable time suck for me. And actually, it wasn't even the amount of time. It was just like the specific time. It was kind of a bummer. And I was going to say leaned into that, but maybe I leaned out of it, whatever the right term is. But like I didn't do it as much last season because I realized that I just felt like I was at such a disadvantage, not like watching live before lock and watching the entire thing and like making sure I had all the right guys. And I don't know if the new gameplay changes that for me that much other than the daily part. Yeah. And I think, as weird as that sounds, because it's like, well, if you're going to play daily, like that's actually more of a time, but
I think that makes sense.
It feels more relaxed, I guess. And I don't know if it actually will be. And maybe because my expectations of winning are a little lower, that I'm willing to like accept that. I guess that's the other big thing when they change the scarcity, like the mint counts to match football.
Right.
They were like, hey, just so you know, like there'll be fewer rewards. And it just felt like nobody won anything.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, this is like a drastic change. And I don't know, it like soured on me a little bit, but like every year of this time, I'm like, oh shit, NBA's coming
NBA's
back.
right around the corner.
It's really
Yeah,
is.
I think you're right on the daily thing of like adding a lax attitude to some of it. I don't think it'll change anything on Mondays and Fridays for that lax attitude. But like
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, like those days when you're not like trying to tinker with all these lineups, I think like that it does provide an like we always talk about this. I just want to be able to like use my cards. So like here's another way to use your cards. I also do like the idea of like if my team sucks after Monday night, I could just, well, let's use them in daily. Let's use them in daily. I like that added wrinkle to it where there it kind of brings a light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. But yeah, you're right that it does require you. I mean, you can play without being locked in Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can. You are at a little bit of a disadvantage. I do think though you can also like if you are available at 6:30 for 10 minutes, you could also still do it. Now, there's like enough
Maybe.
rules out there where and you just like do a quick check of who got ruled out and then be like, all right, go ahead, spin up an optimizer for me. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. You're
but
not wrong about that. I think what makes it so different than the other sports that Sora have is that it requires the work at that time.
right,
Like baseball is super laid back. Like
right.
guys mostly play all the time
Yeah.
and you just set your lineup and you just hope for the variance will be in your favor at some point. And so like I've been saying lately that I think their MLB product is actually their best one.
Yeah. A
I
lot of
don't
people have actually been really I mean, I know we're fresh off of an MLB, so everyone's excited about it. But yeah, it seemed like people were really thrilled this season with it.
I think the ability to win cash was actually easier than people expected.
Yeah.
And once that happens, you're like, oh,
Yeah. All right.
here we go. Yeah. And so I'm really curious to see like how early NBA feels that way, if it does,
Yeah.
because it winning cards was really hard.
Yeah.
And at least for me. And I don't have like a terrible gallery. But I
Right.
also looking at the prizes for this upcoming season, I don't see myself like I've never played super rare and I see all the big announcements and I'm like, okay, I'm still not going to play super rare.
Right, right. I know.
Um,
Well, I was thinking about getting into Super Rare this year. That was kind of as I was ending last season, that was going to be my plan. And then with the rollout of everything else, I actually don't think I'm going to do that. I know they just restructured the classic competition prize
yeah.
pool for Super Rare, but I think I'm probably still just going to live in the rare streets. After talking with Billy Jackson, shout out top tier. But he was mentioning too, he's like, hey, I jumped into super rare and this was the budget I needed. And I was like, man, I could buy those cards one time and then I'd be tapped out. So I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I should be focusing on rare a little bit more. Yeah, I'll be curious. Like,
Oh, and then we lose Mike. Just as he's about to make like some great point about something. I don't know. Let's see if we can get him back here. Almost got him back. We have invisible Mike. Oh, and now Mike's gone. Yeah, I don't want to say too much without Mike here because I feel like he's going to respond to it. But I'll say from the football side, like this change to classic and in season is like a game changer for the way that people play. And so it like I didn't think I would play much in season on the football side, and I have like a pretty significant gallery. There he is, or maybe not. I'm going to keep talking now. Can you hear me, Mike? Oh, okay. I'm going to keep talking. So I didn't think I would play many in-season comps because I have a lot of classic cards, and I have a lot of classic cards in MLB and a lot of classic cards in NBA. And I didn't picture myself playing in-season competitions that much. I kind of like the idea of winning cards. Like that's the fun part. As soon as you start winning cash, you're like, oh, this is fun too. And so I'm curious to see if we see more of a move to the in-season stuff. Sorry for those. Well, I don't know if anybody's actually listening to this and not watching, but Mike seems to have lost his mic. That's weird. Midstream too. Yeah, man on man on the street, Mike. Yeah, it just the new structure. I'm trying to pull it up here with the new prize pools, because it felt like, oh yeah, I guess underdog, contender and champion are running all the time now. But for the in-season stuff, like the difference between limited and rare, let's see how different it is. I don't know why I don't pull this up and we can all just look at it together. Let's see here. So this is just like the blog post that they had. This is the prize pool reveal that they came out with last week. They basically had like an announcement every day last week of something. New cards came out. They look pretty cool. They actually look pretty similar to the football cards. They did the new competitions, this new prize pool. What else did they do? Daily hoops. Yeah, and how the pro game is changing. But prize pool is really what we all really care about.
All right, am I back?
Yeah, you are.
Man, I don't no idea what happened.
I love when that happens.
Like it just shut off, and then I couldn't even troubleshoot. I have literally no idea what happened. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Clapped and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was saying, Mike, was that I didn't think I was ever going to be somebody who would play the in-season competitions on the football side, because I was like, I like winning cards. I have all my classic cards. I'm just going to do it. And as soon as you start playing the in-season comps and you like win cash, you're like, oh, this is fun. Like winning cash is fun too.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, because I was with you similarly on that take last year. I think the move this year, well, for me personally, anyways, I'm probably going to end up spending more than I would like to at the beginning of the season, because it feels like that's your best shot at winning some of these prize pools before a lot of people realize to do it, or before there's that many in-season cards out yet. And so that's not guaranteeing a win, but I feel like that is the odds are the best at the early on in the season.
I don't disagree. I was trying to compare like the prize pool. So it's 3,000 to first for rare in champion. Champion's where like most of the money is.
Right.
1,200 for limited. Like John Scalchunas, if that's how you say his name. I think it is.
Johnny Scales.
Yeah. Scale Sorare, who clearly owned that Jalen Brunson super rare that they showed in the promo. But anyway, he was on SorareFP stream recently. I think they were mostly talking about baseball, but they got into NBA. And he was saying that he's a big proponent of top heavy payouts. And you and I talked about this briefly, and I was like, man, that sucks. And you're like, no, they're cool. I like them.
Well, I think I was with my parents when we were so I hadn't had a chance to like look into it too much yet when we were going back and forth. And at first I thought it was like 15% up top. I do think if like 40% of the prize pool, or 30, whatever the number was, 30 to 40, that's a little heavy. I think in normal standard DFS contests, right, it's somewhere between 10 and 15%. And I get like from the company standpoint, I understand the struggle of like flatter prize pools sound good for the people who are already here. Top heavy prize pools sound good for people who maybe aren't here. And maybe there's something worth looking into. Like DraftKings and FanDuel used to do this, where the first like 4 weeks of the NFL season, right, it'd be like 1.5 million like to first or whatever. That would slowly come down, and whether the prize pool shrunk or it flattened out, would slowly come down throughout the season. Maybe it's worth something like looking into something like that, right, where you have like a week early on that's really big, maybe like a Christmas week that's really big. I don't know, something like that. But it's funny, like I do agree that maybe that was a little bit too top heavy, but I'm just like hesitant to they went from 9,000 a week to 45,000 a game week, and I'm just like, man, that's good. That's just good.
Yeah. No, that absolutely sounds great. In terms of people who are like used to the numbers. I kind of was making this argument, and it's not a fair argument to make, but I was like, people don't like top heavy payouts. They just like seeing a big number at the top.
Right.
And
that's right.
I think you make a really good point though, that for new people, they're not going to be like, I wonder what 17th wins. And it's like, they want to see like what you can win if you win. And so that number has to be big. And if that number has to be big, then obviously the numbers below it.
Yeah, you check what does the podium pay, what's first, second, and third, and then you check what is the last place I can come in that cashes. Those are the 3 things you check. So yeah, I'll be curious. I mean, it seems like I think a positive sign about like, and I know that they didn't really do this with the in-season contest, but with the classic contest, I mean, the fact that enough people said some stuff being like, "Hey, this payout looks a little funky," and then they made an adjustment within like 48 hours, I think is probably that's like a good sign.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's still going to be pretty hard to win. I think it's going to still be pretty hard to win the big money. I am intrigued by like the craft day or the essence, the
I was just about to
essence.
ask you.
Yeah, I think that is honestly, I think that's what the market discount thing was supposed to be,
Mhm.
or like the idea of it is what it was, and like this is a more, you know, a better way to use it where you're not being like forced to use it. You can like, I don't know. You've used it on the football side, right?
Yeah, so we've had, like, crafting for a month or 2, maybe.
Yeah.
It's it's a fancy way of saying that you're winning pieces of cards.
Right, right.
And at the beginning, people looked at it and they were like, "This isn't really a reward. I'm just, like, getting this Essence cartoon bottle."
Mhm.
And I think the more that it just becomes part of the game, people are like, "All right," like, they're excited to win it. And there is, like, this FIFA-esque, um, dopamine hit when you
Right,
craft your card and they're like, you could get anything from the worst player in the world to Jokic. And you're
right.
just like,
We'll
all right,
see.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it softens the blow, right? Because they are one of the things that we've talked about a ton with So Rare is that the like it's you're this weird catch 22 because you don't want them to oversupply and flood the market with a bunch of cards, but you also want to have to win cards. And then the more people you that are winning cards means the more supply that's coming out there, right? So it's just like back and forth. And I thought this was like a good way to kind of adjust that a little bit where it's like, hey, you didn't win cards, but you still won something, right? It kind of
Mhm.
it means there's more winners
Yep.
for every contest. I think ultimately that's good, right?
Yeah, you just want more people to leave the game week thinking I won something,
Yeah.
even if it's kind of a minimal thing. The market credits, I don't mine all expired. I don't remember how many market credits I
I
had in
used
NBA. It
I used
wasn't
a hit.
that many,
Yeah.
but like I
I
have $850 of market credits in MLB, and like I don't buy MLB cards
right. You
really
have it
like
in
I
like 3
should.
years, right?
I bought a ton in year 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought 1 card since season 1,
Yeah.
and this is the end of season 3. And maybe that's why I love baseball so much because I can keep just winning cards and it
Right.
doesn't
With the
matter.
collection that you have. Yeah.
But what's going to be interesting because this is the first time we've seen it on the football side with the introduction of in-season competitions like right away. They basically flooded the market with new cards to begin with. And so
Right.
we used to have this expectation that they would obviously have more of the new season cards early on,
Right.
but they would have enough that they would sell the whole year. And now, like I think for some of the rare cards, we're in the 60s already for
Wow.
football, and that launched in August, like 2 months, and they're already up to 60 out of 100. And I think we're
Yeah.
going to end up seeing that on the NBA side because if you want to play in season, like you
Well,
have to have the cards.
yeah,
And so,
I would imagine they because there's 2 reasons they need to do that. They need to do it so people can play. They need so
right,
people can play the game. But they also need to do that because what we saw happen last year is just like the prices were astronomical in that like first 2 weeks. And then, they just like tapered off pretty aggressively after that. So I think by turning the faucet on a little bit more than they normally would, that should even it out a little bit. I mean, the prices are still going to be higher at the beginning of the year than they are at the end of the year, and that's how it's supposed to be because you're used. We've already talked about that, but I wonder if you what they have to turn on the faucet. I imagine we're going to see a lot of auctioning, aggressive auctioning for a week.
yeah, I mean, they basically not only the auctioning, but the instant buys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Instant buys.
the best was seeing like 2 auctions go, and then like 5 instant people were just like, no, I want cards right now. Like
Yeah.
from a from a revenue standpoint, instant buy was like the best thing they've ever done for themselves. Like the number
Yeah.
of people who just full fledged YOLO, like, yeah, I'll pay whatever. And with market credits, you're
Right.
like I've started doing this on the football side that I'm buying cards that I would never bought, not never, but probably would not have bought. But because I have this market credit where it's like, oh, this card's $20, but I'm only paying 10, I'm in.
Right. Might as well.
Right.
Might as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I think that essence and crafting, like like a really fun part of the football side,
yeah.
and I don't see how it doesn't succeed for NBA.
Yeah, well, especially after what last year was. Like, I think last year there was a lot of growing pains in some of that stuff, and I think that is an answer or solution to a lot of the frustration, right? Because when I think about last year, just like how they did the rewards was a little funky, and then like especially in the rare tier, like the percentage of people playing versus the percentage of people being rewarded was a little funky as well.
By
Uh,
funky, you mean exceptionally low, and people were angry. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just kind of like nothing was ever done. Like it was just kind of like never discussed. And it seems like they really took a lot of that feedback in. And we've talked at length on a bunch of different shows about why they probably weren't making adjustments
Mhm.
mid-year last year, and it seems like they took the offseason to like really, you know, dissect what last year was and make some necessary adjustments. And let's see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it's gonna be fun. I mean, I'm still gonna do it anyways because I love like the sweat of it in the back, and I like live before lock is so much fun for me. So I'm excited to do that again. Uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also I saw Mike's question. How much do you think multi-entry like what kind of effect that will have? Does multi-entry on the football side of things?
Yeah, it's 3 entries per contest. They have a whole bunch of other rules that I don't think they'll ever really need to implement on the NBA side. One of them is like divisions, where your 3 entries are in one of 5 divisions for limited, 4 for rare, and 3 for super rare. Where like if you finish in the top 10%, like you move up a division, and the
Yeah.
higher divisions have better prizes. Like it's a cool concept. It's a very football concept with like promotion and relegation.
Right.
And I don't. I mean, I don't want to say they'll never do it in an NBA, but I don't think they really need to. Certainly, they don't need to now.
No, no, no.
But multi-entry is part of that, and I think it was mostly an answer to like I just want to play more of my cards, and
Mhm.
it's like the easiest solution. Just like okay, you get 2 entries now. They don't really change rewards that much. Like it's not like okay, you get 2 entries and we're doubling rewards,
Right, right.
but also like they have the in-season comps now, which allow you to have one classic card. So I assume most people will use their like superstar,
MVP. Yeah.
their MVP there. And but also it's like, hey, maybe you need 2 Jokic's.
Right. Right. The multi-entry thing I think is awesome just because listen, I love it's Eastern Conference week or it's under 23 week. I no, it's much easier for me to be like I'm going to use those cards instead of trying to figure out a whole new scoring system and who's eligible. It's like let me just build a second contender lineup. Let me build a second champion lineup. Um I'm in on that. I think that'll be good. I also think, and I saw a couple of people being like, "Whoa, that's just helping people with bigger galleries." It's like yes and no. I mean, they have another shot at it by being able to create another lineup that they feel good about. They still have to make a good lineup.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sitting there being like, "Oh, should I play Scottie Pippen Jr. or Brandon Clark in this lineup?" I don't really think I don't think that necessarily makes it easier. It just gives them a little bit more of an option. Like I think there's a world in which having just enough for that one lineup will be much easier for your brain than trying to construct two or three, you know?
Yeah. And frankly, like everybody will be able to have multiple entries. It's not like it's just one person. It's not like
Right.
just whales get them. Like
Right.
you're able, if you want to I hate to use a baseball term, like if you want to moneyball your way into it, like you can do it with 2 lineups now.
Mhm.
Like I think there was some feeling that that was going to happen in the football side. And it really hasn't happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good. I think ultimately it's good. We can't bitch and moan about not being able to use our cards, and then they give us an opportunity to use cards. We're like, oh, come on!
Come
Like,
on.
yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. Andre here, what do you think would be the more beneficial, having the same 3 lineups for one comp using the same cards, or having absolutely 3 different lineups, diversifying in a way?
I definitely want to put the same lineup in 3 times. Is that what
Definitely
he's
would or
saying?
would not?
I would not. Is that what
Yeah.
he's saying? Like the same lineup 3 times? No, because then, I mean, yeah, I guess that's cool if you have the absolute nuts
Yeah, I was
and
going
you
to say
get
you need the absolute nuts. Yeah.
yeah, but we've already just talked about how hard it is to get first place one time. Now you want to get first place 3 times. I think what I would do, like if you feel pretty confident in like Scotty Barnes is the best like second MVP guy, and Scottie Pippen Jr., because I can't think of other cheap guys, is like the best value guy. I think it's fine to be like, I'm going to put Scotty Barnes and Scottie Pippen Jr. in all three lineups,
Yeah.
and then I would rotate some pieces in and out of there. That's how I would approach it anyways. Like, that's how I would do it in DFS too, where you like build a core and then work around the core.
Right, which is exactly what Mike here said before.
Yeah.
Mike Weisberg, the multi-entry thing feels very DFS specific. I hate
Yeah.
to say this, but like this type of game is very DFS-y.
Yeah.
Like it's not where I don't think they're really trying to hide it, but I think it is kind of the most exciting way to play other, you know, if you're not playing like a season-long fantasy basketball league, which
I mean, it's been this. Like it's been a DFS thing. It's not a DFS thing now. Like it's been the reason people like me really like this game was that season-long fantasy basketball kind of sucks. Daily fantasy basketball requires a little bit too much. This is like a nice little sweet spot where it's like, okay, twice a week I have to lock in.
Yeah, you brought up the elimination of under 23s and Eastern Conference as like random contests during the game week. They kind of make it sound like those are going to go into the daily hoops part.
Yeah.
So daily hoops has reward boxes, as I think they said that was the only rewards, right? Yeah, essence and market credits. So like that's what we have in our reward boxes on the football side. I think, like, I really think there's a chance that I only play daily, and not necessarily that I play every day.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like I have a few duplicate cards. Shockingly, I have like multiple Jalen Brunsons, and so
who knew?
Yeah, so if I could just run those like in different spots, including the daily game, like I'm all into it, and not being able to necessarily win like a specific card or cash.
Yeah,
is okay with me.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, I don't think that's an indictment on the game or on you. Like, I think that's fine. I think there's like, and I think there's going to be plenty of people that are like, I'm not messing with daily. Like, I'm focusing on my, like, and I think that's okay too. I think that's okay too. I mean, that's what the growth of this is that it's just like allowing people to play the way they want. There's not like one specific way you have to do this. So I think that makes sense. I also think like that, I wonder if that's like a gateway or an entry for people who are, excuse me, sorry, I'm like battling a cold, so I apologize for like constantly muting and like you just see my face snorting stuff up in my brain. But I wonder if that's a gateway to people who are playing football, because you're in the middle of football right now. Like football's aggressive right now. And then to be like, hey, can you also, I know you're already doing stuff on like Friday and stuff, whatever the days are that lock's happening. Now we need you to do it in the evening on Mondays and Fridays. So I wonder if the daily is like an introduction for a lot of the people who just play on the football side of things. And then maybe if they enjoy that, they start doing some more of the classic competitions.
Yeah. Weisberg asked if you can use your cards in the daily game and the other comps, and everybody is responding that you can't. You can if you cancel your regular lineup.
Right. It's much like the list sell or whatever the hell.
Lister play, yeah.
Lister play, yeah, same thing. So like if you have a lineup that's ass and you want to use one of those guys in the daily contest, you can go do that.
So it's going to be funny. There are people who are like, I'm not going to win a card or I'm not going to win cash, but they are like in a reward box spot maybe. And they're like, oh man, do I actually want to cancel this lineup or not?
Right. That'll be funny.
It's just another strategy piece. It's great. And I will say like one of the other strategic elements that comes into the game is like when you craft a card, like how much essence. So basically like the more essence you acquire, the better card you can potentially get. And so it's like, do I just take my chance on the lowest one, my 1% chance at like a star or tier one, you know, like, do I do it? And the number of people who have seen others win like great rewards with like the lowest one, people are like, I was shocked at how many people are just like, oh, I'm in the minimum. Let's go for it.
Yeah. That's funny. I mean, I guess all it takes is one person to nail something to be like, oh, I guess I don't need to have a ton.
It's exactly like, it literally takes one person to see it and you're just like, okay, it's in.
Yeah. I'm with Andre too about just like, I think that's what I really enjoy about Live Before Lock, right? Is just trying to take in all of the information and be like, okay, how do I use my gallery efficiently and effectively this game week? And now with this, it's just added more wrinkles to it. So instead of just being like, you know, whatever sort, whether it's Sorare data, whatever you use to like, okay, I ran my projections. this is who I'm supposed to play, and now we're done. Now there's a little bit more to that where you're like, okay, but does, like if I use Embiid just for the daily, he's like by far the best player on Tuesday, and my MVP lineup isn't that great. Like, do you just save your Embiid? I think it'll be really interesting to see how people approach it, and how quickly like the daily game catches on. Like if that ends up being your extra thing, or if that is the thing that you like focus more on,
Yeah, and I think what comes from that is strategy that's not just let me go buy the cheapest guy who happens to be getting more minutes tonight.
Exactly.
And that's what I really like is like there's more strategy into how do you utilize what you already have
Right.
instead of let me go do that. So Bob Franklin here said 20 rare essence, 20 is the lowest threshold to craft a card.
Okay.
And he said he got a card and sold it for 550 euros.
Holy crap. That's awesome. Way to go, Bob.
And so it just takes that and everyone's like, oh, all right, let me craft an Embiid.
Yeah.
Let's
and
go.
then they'll be like, how the hell did I get Joe Mazzulla? Like,
yeah, exactly. And yet, once they get back to 20, they're like, let's do it again. Now is the Embiid time. Let's go.
Oh, that's great.
Can't wait for the Nick Richards weeks. Yeah.
I know. He might be a Nick. There was rumors he was going to come to New York.
Somebody was talking about late swap or is it late swap, late lock, whatever it is. But yes, basically like in the daily game, players lock. I don't know if it's at tip off, 10 minutes to tip
like
off,
when their
whatever
game
the hell
starts,
it is.
yeah.
But you'll know if they're starting, which is a conversation that's kind of been had on the football side. It's a lot messier in a non-daily game. But do you think that makes the game, I don't want to say easier, but like I'm started this off by bitching that I didn't want to have to be locked to my computer. Now it's like, oh wait, maybe
I was just thinking as you were like, I'm going to focus on the daily game while I'm staying up until the 10:30 tip off of the Clippers game to see if Kawhi's playing.
I'll only play Eastern Conference nights.
I wonder if right. I wonder if people don't like. There's so much because there's so many people over in Europe who play SorareNBA that'll be like, it's 4 a.m. and I'm watching live before lock right now. I don't think we'll see the same type of giddy up behind the daily game. Not that people won't be excited about, but I imagine for most people not named Andrew Laird that it'll be like what they build their champion lineup, their contending lineup, and then they'll be like, okay, here's what I got left for daily. I think that's how people are going to approach it. I don't know. Maybe the chat disagrees with that, but
yeah. I would assume that like the best prizes are still in the regular competitions. And
by a lot.
You can't like, I don't think it's feasible for me to like only play daily and to play daily like 3 times a week and be like, I'm killing it this year. But
yeah, I also love that too, of being like, oh yeah, dude, I just can't lock in on Mondays and Fridays, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
midweek, I love midweeks. Yeah. So to answer Mike's question, meaning Mike, that's so many Mikes here. No daily live before lock just for the daily game, Mike.
No, but I feel like Mike is quietly working for me behind the scenes right now. What I am doing is, which hasn't been officially announced yet, for anybody that signs up for like the So Rare VIP thing on our Elite Fantasy Hoops channel, I think it's called Sorarians. I forget what I named it. Whoever signs up for that, there will be a daily video that goes up that covers a bunch of different stuff. It'll probably be like a 35, 40-minute video that will cover the SorareNBA daily game. There's something else that I'm missing in there. And then the underdog ranks for their underdog daily game. So I'm going to be covering basically approaching daily fantasy sports that way. But that's just going to be for the VIPs behind the paywall thing. And then live before lock for like the main game will still be Monday and Fridays.
This is the channel.
Boom.
Elite Fantasy Hoops. I'll drop the link in the chat, although you can see it's literally just YouTube at Elite Fantasy Hoops.
There we go. We changed all sorts of branding changes this year, guys.
How many channels is it at this point?
So it's really just 2. I mean, I have 3, but the third one I've been focusing on some other stuff. So I haven't really been using that one. So I've been focusing on the Elite Fantasy Hoops. And then I learned a little fun trick. I don't know if you want to go a little YouTube. Go to the homepage again of Elite Fantasy Hoops. Ready? Scroll down a little bit. I think a little bit further. There it is. See? Okay. I didn't know you could do this. You can see the NBA Bit playlist, and that is to my other channel.
Yeah.
The NBA Bit. And I did the same thing where I put some Elite Fantasy Hoops video on the other channel. I didn't even know you could do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can do it.
There you go. Anyways, that was a little YouTube stuff for everybody.
There you go. I need Live Before Lock back in my weekly routine ASAP.
Yeah, I think it's going to be starting a half hour earlier this season. We're going to be
Ooh.
starting it at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do that for 2 reasons. Mondays, I now have a commitment at 7. So I'm trying to get out by 6:30. And then on Fridays, I think we're just going to let it go a little bit longer. We'll do like a 2-hour show. Ease into the weekend.
Does that go into Live After Lock?
Right, live after dark.
Dark. Oh, I knew that was
There you
coming.
go. Andrew gets it. Andrew gets it. Are we gonna see some? Are we gonna see some more So Rare Data NBA content this season? I'm not trying to lock you in. Just what's going on over here?
So like this is, I mean, this is already way more than season 2.
I know.
So like,
I had to clear my schedule. I knew it was like, oh, we're coming out of retirement. I'm back, baby.
Ryan said, I didn't even know there was a Sorare Data NBA channel.
There you go.
God, there were so many channels, so many videos, guys.
Come on.
We did a Wemby watch. Mike was there.
That's right.
Look at all these past live streams 11 months ago.
That's right.
It was just tough last year. I will say that this interview with Kate Schrumpf, who is no longer at Sorare, was the first time where they were like, where I heard somebody from Sorare talk about like headline prizes.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to give away. And then a few months later, they announced like 15 million in prizes for football, like throughout the season. And we were
wow.
That's a big number.
Yeah. That's exactly. Oh, wait, I get 3,000 for first in this game. And then you get $19 for 9th place.
Yep. So like you joke about that, but maybe it's not that drastic. Hold on. 1,200. This is champion limited. 1,200 to first, $30 to 11th.
Yeah, you know what I think I would have done here is you go. I think you go 1,200 and then like 500 and then 250. And then it's like what, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think like if you're going to do it flat, like they're trying to do between like second and third are weirdly flat. And then it stops being flat again. So like, I think you either do it flat or you don't do it. I think what I said this to you about, I think this is about Rare, but you keep it here. What I would do instead is probably wipe out 26 through 725 getting cash. And then, well, maybe not wipe it out completely, but instead of like, say, maybe we make 41st the cutoff. Like we get rid of 41, the 15, 10, and $5 ones. Mm-hmm. Put that money in towards 6 through, maybe just 6 through 10th. Like and beef that up a little bit more. I think that's how I would do it. But I honestly, I don't think there's any sort of right answer. I think like whatever it is, if we beef those up, we're going to be like, well, why is it? Dude, I came in like 105th out of like 7,000. And this is all I got, right? So no matter what, there's going to be something, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is the Rare Champ. And like Champ has significantly more money in it than Contender. And does Underdog even have money? No.
I don't think so. But yeah, like same thing with this one, you pay the top 10. Pay the top 10, make the reward boxes good or whatever. Pay the top 10 so that way you get, I don't know, what's that? You get $500 back there, another 500, whatever, and then put that into, because that does kind of suck a little bit if you come in 7th and you win 125, but
and mostly because it's probably like 0.3 of a point, maybe not that drastically,
right? But it's close.
But it's close, yeah. Ryan said the highest money doesn't seem high enough to be a big prize, but then there's not a long enough tail for enough people to win lesser amounts. I mean, this one the limited goes 725 people deep.
Yeah.
Feels like a lot of people.
Yeah. I actually think 1,200 up top for a limited tournament is pretty good. Like, I'm not going to complain too much about the limited one.
I agree with you. Yeah.
That was actually higher than I thought it was going to be.
This super rare one, and you mentioned like the possibility of playing. That one looked. This is Contender. There we go. It's a lot of money. $4,100.
It is, but they kept it pretty flat from 4,100. Because again, normally you see like a 50% decrease for so you would see 41, 2050,
2050. Yeah.
yeah, 1025. And so it's pretty flat between first, second. I actually wonder why they did it like that.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Like, 'cause
Like,
you could have gotten away. I don't think anybody would have been mad if you went 4,000, 2,000, 1,000. I think everybody would have been like, wow, that's pretty good. Top three,
yeah,
whatever.
1250 to 300 is drastic.
Yeah. Yeah. From third to fourth. Yeah. And I think this is the example we use, right? Where I would say we're just paying top 10. And then I would take that 75 from 11 to 15 and put that into the 4 through 7 prize pool.
Yeah. I'll add another like kind of difference between the in-season and classic on the football side is that for classic, the top 25% win a reward box.
Right.
But in season, top 50% win one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think it's mostly just to like make sure that everybody wants to play in season.
Right.
What is
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like they just made so many incentives to play in season on the football side that I was like surprised that it's actually the same, because I would assume there are way fewer entries in season than there are in classic, just because there's so many more cards in classic.
Can I ask a question here? There's something I don't. Is this a change in language? What's the difference between star limited and tier 1 limited?
Yes, that is a change in language. That matches what they've done in football for years. Like star is the top, Jokic, Giannis, and tier 1 is the next.
Okay.
It does sound weird though, that like tier 1 is not the highest.
Yeah. Oh, I don't hate it. I just missed that in the announcements, which is embarrassing because I'm like,
it actually complicates it because for a long time they referred to stars as tier 0.
Oh, that's funny.
And you're just like, oh, sweet.
As long as they stop putting a Sar Thompson in a tier 1, I'll be happy.
We'll see. Yeah, they changed baseball too. Is the same. It's basically just to streamline it all.
Yeah, it makes sense. That does make. That's not that I'm mad at. I just missed it.
Yeah. So you got a couple minutes. You gonna play in season or staying in classic?
Oh, I'll be doing in season. I'll still be doing classic because I feel like there'll be some deals there to be had, and I'll still want to fire some lineups in, and I still have a bunch of classic cards. But I saved up some pennies. I sold. I'm actually a little bummed that I sold the Wemby now because I thought I was going to move up to so rare, and that was part of the reason why I did it. And now that I'm staying in the rare competitions, I wish I still had it. But I saved up some pennies this offseason with that and a couple of other things, and I'm all ready to drop a bag come October 15th or whatever day that is.
Well, this excited for the Jason Tatum tier 1 versus star. Oh, manufacturer controversy, my favorite controversy.
There we go.
Yeah, the trickiest thing that we've seen on the football side that we didn't really see in baseball, I don't think, early on, is obviously you pay more in order to, like, right at the beginning in order to compete right away. And you basically have to decide, like, is it worth me buying cards in October so that I can compete right away? Or do I just wait until December where they're cheaper, but then obviously you lose the 2.5 months of utility.
Right. Well, and you're now competing against people who have more in-season cards, where I like the idea of just unloading that first week, and I'm just going to have the best possible lineups, and then I'll just complain. It'll be good for content.
Of course. Yeah,
mad that I lost.
The other thing, Ryan brings up is we'll see the difference between classic and in-season cards, because sometimes, like, we see on the football side, like the in-season cards are literally like 2, 3, 4x higher.
Yeah.
And
I think we'll see something similar now that, especially because all the money is in the in-season contests.
Right.
I think we'll see that.
All right. Mike's got 17 other streams to do today, so I'm going to let him go.
2 more. I got to go ingest some Dayquil, even though I don't know, man. As I'm getting older, that stuff does a number on my stomach. I took some before the NBA bit today, and I almost did not get
that idea. Oh boy.
Bit. Yeah.
But all right, we'll have to find some new drugs to help you get through it.
We're fighting, baby. It's good to be back, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for talking about some basketball.
Yeah, and maybe this is the start of regular Sorare Data NBA show.
Let's go, Andrew. We're gonna get you on Live Before Lock at some point. We're gonna make you submit some lineups.
Yeah. We'll do it. Anyway, go over to Elite Fantasy Hoops. Go subscribe to all the stuff there. Team Hold every day. NBA bit, not every day, 3 days a week now.
Thank you. There we go.
Sorry.
Mental health, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shouts Quinny, and we'll see you around.
See you guys.